Have you ever wondered why some people are valued everywhere they go, while others are constantly overlooked? Think about it for a second. Why is it that one person's opinion immediately grabs attention the moment they speak, while another person can say the exact same thing and nobody seems to care? It's strange, isn't it? Because most people spend years trying to earn appreciation. They help others whenever they're asked. They stay loyal. They sacrifice their time. They put other people's needs before their own. And yet, despite all of that, they often feel invisible. Maybe you've experienced it yourself. Maybe you've gone out of your way for someone only to realize they barely noticed your effort. Maybe you've always been available, always supportive, always there when people needed you. But somehow, the respect never matched the effort. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how people suddenly change when they realize they no longer have easy access to you? It's strange. The same people who acted like you were always going to be there suddenly become more interested in what you're doing. Why does that happen? After all, you're still the same person. Your personality didn't change overnight. Your skills didn't magically improve. So what changed? The answer reveals something important about human nature. Most people think value comes from constantly proving yourself, being more helpful, being more available, but that's not usually how people see value. Think about it. When something is always there, we stop paying attention to it, not because it's worthless, but because we assume it will never leave. And that's exactly where many people make a costly mistake. They give away their time too easily, their attention too freely, their energy without limits. Then they wonder why nobody seems to appreciate it. Machiavelli understood something that most people never notice. People don't always value what is constantly offered. They pay attention to what appears important. They respect what seems difficult to replace. And they become curious about what isn't always available to them. That's why the moment you start valuing your own time, other people often begin to value it too. It's not magic. It's not luck. And it's definitely not an accident. It's psychology. In this video, you'll discover 7 powerful psychological tricks that can help you become more respected, more appreciated, and far more valuable in the eyes of others, without begging for attention, chasing approval, or pretending to be someone you're not. Some of these lessons may completely change the way you think about influence, respect, and human behavior. So before we begin, comment below. I know my value. Number 1. Stop giving everyone unlimited access. Imagine 2 people. Both are kind, both are capable, both are willing to help others. But there's one important difference. The first person gives everyone unlimited access to their time. They're always available, always saying yes, always adjusting their priorities to fit someone else's plans. The second person is helpful too, but they understand something that many people never learn. Their time matters, their attention matters, their energy matters, and because they understand that, they protect those things carefully. Now here's the interesting part. People often respect the second person more, not because they're smarter, not because they're richer, but because they send a clear message through their behavior. They show that their life has value, and human nature notices that. Think about the people you've respected throughout your life, the people who seemed confident, the people who carried themselves with quiet strength. Most of them weren't desperately trying to please everyone around them. They weren't running in 10 different directions, trying to satisfy every request. They understood that every yes comes with a cost, because every time you give your attention to one thing, you're taking it away from something else. That's why one of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that constant availability creates appreciation. In reality, it often creates the opposite. When people become used to unlimited access, they stop seeing it as something valuable. They begin to expect it. And once something becomes an expectation, gratitude often disappears. You can see this pattern everywhere. The person who is always available is often the person people think about the least. Not because they're unimportant, but because everyone assumes they'll always be there. Machiavelli understood this side of human nature very well. He once said, "Familiarity breeds contempt." It's a simple sentence, but it contains a powerful lesson. When people become too familiar with your presence, your time, and your attention, they can slowly stop appreciating them. That doesn't mean you should become cold. It doesn't mean you should stop helping people. That's not the lesson. The lesson is learning the difference between being kind and being constantly accessible. Those are not the same thing. A person can be generous without allowing everyone unlimited access to their life. A person can be supportive without sacrificing every personal priority. A person can care about others while still protecting their own peace. And that's where real self-respect begins. Because every time you say yes to something that doesn't deserve your time, you're often saying no to something that does. Maybe it's your goals, maybe it's your growth, maybe it's your family, maybe it's simply your peace of mind. The people who are valued most understand this. They don't treat their time like an endless resource. They recognize that every day comes with limits. And because of that, they become more intentional about where their energy goes. Something interesting happens when you start living this way. People begin to notice. They realize your attention isn't automatic. They understand that your presence has meaning, and that understanding naturally creates more respect. Not because you're demanding it, but because you're demonstrating it. Remember, people often learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. If you constantly communicate that your time doesn't matter, many people will believe it. But when you show that your time has value, others are far more likely to value it too. The first step to becoming valued by others is simple. Stop giving everyone unlimited access to the most valuable thing you own. Number 2. Use the power of mystery. Now here's something most people never think about. The more you explain yourself, the less interesting you often become. That sounds backwards, doesn't it? After all, we're taught that being open is always a good thing. We're told to tell people what we're planning, what we're working on, what we're thinking. And sometimes that's fine, but there is a hidden cost that comes with revealing everything. You remove curiosity. Think about it. What makes a good movie exciting? What makes a great book difficult to put down? It's not because you know everything from the beginning. It's because there are unanswered questions. There is uncertainty. There is something waiting to be discovered. Human beings are naturally curious. We pay attention to things we don't fully understand. We become interested in people who leave room for imagination. That's why mystery has always been powerful, and yet many people destroy it without realizing it. The moment they have a new goal, they announce it. The moment they have a new idea, they explain it. The moment they make a plan, they tell everyone about it, before anything meaningful has even happened. Machiavelli understood that power often works quietly. The strongest moves are not always the loudest ones. In fact, some of the most effective people you'll ever meet rarely feel the need to explain themselves. They let results do the talking, and that creates a very different kind of presence. Think about someone you've admired, someone who seemed confident and self-assured. Chances are they didn't spend all day convincing people they were important. They didn't constantly seek validation. They didn't reveal every detail of their personal journey. Instead, they focused on action, and because of that, people paid attention. There's something fascinating about a person who doesn't feel the need to announce everything. It creates intrigue. It makes others wonder what they're working toward. It encourages people to watch rather than ignore. Now, this doesn't mean becoming secretive about every aspect of your life. That's not the point. The goal isn't to turn yourself into a puzzle. The goal is to stop feeling obligated to explain every decision you make. You don't need approval for every step forward. You don't need an audience for every ambition. And you certainly don't need to justify every choice. One of the strongest forms of confidence is being comfortable with silence, being able to pursue something meaningful without constantly talking about it, because talking creates the feeling of progress. Action creates actual progress, and those two things are not the same. Many people spend so much time discussing their future that they never fully build it. Meanwhile, the person who stays focused quietly keeps moving forward, month after month, year after year. Then, one day, everyone notices the result, and suddenly people wonder how it happened. But that's exactly the point. The work was happening long before anyone saw it. Mystery creates attention. Attention creates interest. And interest makes people pay closer attention to your actions. That's why you don't always need to reveal every card you're holding. Sometimes it's better to keep your focus private, to work in silence, to let people see the outcome instead of hearing endless promises. Because words can create expectations. Results create respect. The people who carry a sense of mystery are often the people who seem most confident, not because they're trying to impress anyone, but because they don't feel the need to constantly explain themselves. Remember this: not everything valuable needs to be announced. Not every goal needs to be shared. Not every plan needs an audience. Sometimes, the smartest move is to keep moving forward while saying less. Because the less you feel compelled to prove yourself, the more powerful your presence becomes. Number 3. Have clear standards. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever met someone who seemed confident without trying to prove it? Someone who didn't need to argue with everyone? Someone who didn't need to raise their voice? Someone who simply carried themselves in a way that made people take them seriously? What makes a person like that different? In many cases, the answer is simple. They have standards. They know where they stand. And because they know where they stand, other people know it too. One of the biggest reasons people lose respect is that they make it difficult for others to understand their limits. One day, they accept behavior that bothers them. The next day, they complain about it. One week, they allow someone to cross a line. The following week, they become angry about the same thing. This creates confusion, and confusion weakens respect. People pay attention to consistency. They notice when someone's principles change depending on the situation. But they also notice when someone stands firm without becoming emotional. That's where standards become powerful. Standards are not about controlling other people. They are about controlling what you allow into your life. There is a huge difference. You cannot force others to behave a certain way. You cannot control every action around you, but you can decide what you will accept and what you won't. That decision shapes how people treat you. Think about it. If someone repeatedly disrespects your time and there are never any consequences, what lesson are they learning? If someone constantly takes advantage of your kindness and nothing changes, what message does that send? People often continue behavior that is repeatedly rewarded. That's human nature. This is why weak boundaries create problems, not because people are always malicious, but because many individuals naturally test limits. They pay attention to what they can get away with. And if there are no clear lines, those lines continue to move. Machiavelli understood that strength is not always loud. Often, true strength appears calm. A person who knows their standards doesn't need dramatic reactions. They don't need endless arguments. They don't need public displays of anger. Their actions communicate everything. When a line is crossed, they respond appropriately. When a situation becomes unhealthy, they step away. When something violates their values, they refuse to participate. Simple, clear, consistent. And that's exactly why standards create respect. Because standards communicate self-respect. They tell the world that you recognize your own worth, not in an arrogant way, not in a superior way, but in a healthy way. A person with standards understands that protecting their well-being is not selfish. Protecting their peace is not selfish. Protecting their future is not selfish. It's necessary. Many people spend years trying to earn respect from others while ignoring the respect they owe themselves. And that's where the problem begins, because people often notice how you treat yourself long before they listen to what you say. If you constantly abandon your own values to gain approval, others notice. If you repeatedly sacrifice your dignity to avoid conflict, others notice. If you tolerate behavior that drains your energy, others notice. And eventually, they adjust their treatment accordingly. But when people see someone who stands by their principles, something changes. There is clarity, there is certainty, there is strength. Not the strength that comes from intimidation, the strength that comes from self-control, and that kind of strength is difficult to ignore. Remember this: the goal is not to make everyone happy. The goal is not to win every argument. The goal is not to please every person you meet. The goal is to live according to standards that reflect who you truly are. Because when your standards become clear, your confidence becomes visible. And once people see that confidence, they begin to view you differently. Once people see your standards, they begin to notice your confidence. Number 4, speak less. Once people see your confidence, something else begins to happen. They start paying closer attention to your words. And that's exactly where many people make a mistake. They believe influence comes from talking more, explaining more, adding more, filling every silence with another sentence. But have you ever noticed something interesting? The people who talk the most are not always the people who have the most impact. In fact, sometimes the opposite is true. Think about a meeting, a classroom, or even a group conversation. There is usually one person who speaks constantly. They comment on everything. They react to everything. They feel the need to share every thought that enters their mind. At first, people may listen. But after a while, their words begin to blend into the background. Now think about another person. Someone who listens carefully, someone who observes before speaking, someone who chooses their moments. When that person finally says something, people pay attention. Why? Because their words carry weight. Human nature works in a simple way. When something is everywhere, it becomes ordinary. When something appears at the right moment, it becomes memorable. The same principle applies to communication. This doesn't mean becoming quiet all the time. It doesn't mean sitting in silence and never expressing yourself. The lesson is learning the difference between speaking and contributing. Those are not the same thing. Many people speak because they want attention. Strong communicators speak because they have something valuable to add. There is a big difference. One seeks recognition. The other creates impact. That's why listening is such an underrated skill. Most people enter conversations focused on what they want to say next. Very few focus on understanding what is actually being said. But the person who listens gains an advantage. They gather information, they notice details, they understand motivations, they identify patterns that others miss. And when they finally speak, their words are often more thoughtful because they are built on observation rather than impulse. Machiavelli understood the value of decisive action and thoughtful judgment. He said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." There is an important lesson hidden inside those words. Wise people are not constantly reacting. They are thinking, evaluating, choosing their actions carefully. The same idea applies to communication. You don't need 20 sentences when 3 clear ones will do the job. You don't need a long explanation every time you make a decision. You don't need to win every discussion. Sometimes a few direct words accomplish far more than endless talking ever could. There is also another benefit to speaking with purpose. It reduces unnecessary mistakes. The more a person talks, the more opportunities they create to reveal information they shouldn't reveal, make promises they can't keep, or say things they later regret. Discipline in communication protects you from that. It encourages you to think before speaking rather than speaking before thinking. And that habit alone can change how people perceive you. Because people naturally trust individuals who appear composed. People respect individuals who seem deliberate. People remember individuals who communicate clearly. The goal is not to become mysterious by saying nothing. The goal is to become effective by saying what matters. Every word should have a reason for being there. Every statement should move the conversation forward. Every contribution should add value. That's what separates noise from influence. And when you learn this skill, something remarkable happens. People stop focusing on how much you speak. They start focusing on what you say. Your words become easier to remember, your opinions become harder to ignore, and your presence becomes stronger without you needing to dominate every conversation. Because true authority is rarely built through constant talking. It is built through clarity. It is built through restraint. And it is built through knowing exactly when to speak. Strong communication matters, but your actions matter even more. Number 5, become reliable, not available. Let me ask you something. Who would you trust more? Someone who constantly makes promises but rarely follows through, or someone who speaks modestly but always delivers? The answer is obvious, and that's because trust is built through consistency. Not through good intentions, not through impressive words, not through appearances, through actions. This is where many people become confused. They think being valued means always being present, always being reachable, always making themselves accessible. But that's not what creates long-term respect. Respect grows when people know they can depend on you when it truly matters. There is a huge difference between being available and being reliable. Available means being there all the time. Reliable means being there when your commitment counts. One creates familiarity, the other creates trust. And trust is one of the most valuable things a person can earn. Think about the people you admire most, the people whose names carry weight, the people others naturally respect. Chances are they built that reputation over years, not through grand speeches, not through dramatic moments, but through small acts, repeated again and again. They did what they said they would do. They honored their commitments. They finished what they started. And because of that, people learned something important about them. Their word could be trusted. That kind of reputation is powerful. Because once people trust your actions, they stop needing constant reassurance. They stop wondering whether you'll follow through. They already know. And certainty creates confidence. Imagine 2 individuals. The first one constantly talks about future plans. They make promises easily. They agree to things quickly, but when the moment arrives, they often fall short. The second person makes fewer promises. They don't rush into commitments. They think carefully before giving their word. But once they commit, they follow through. Who do you think people value more over time? Almost always the second person. Because reliability creates security. People know where they stand. People know what to expect. And in a world filled with uncertainty, that matters. One of the fastest ways to damage your reputation is by developing a habit of breaking your word. Not because you're a bad person, but because trust weakens every time expectations are not met. Eventually, people stop believing what you say, and once trust disappears, respect often follows it out the door. That's why dependable people are so valuable. They reduce uncertainty. They create confidence. They make life easier for everyone around them. And here's something important. Reliability doesn't require perfection. Nobody is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone faces unexpected challenges. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistency. The goal is becoming the kind of person who takes responsibility, the kind of person who keeps their standards even when nobody is watching, the kind of person who understands that character is revealed through behavior, not claims. Machiavelli understood that reputation is one of the most powerful assets a person can possess. And reputation is not built in a single day. It is built one action at a time, one decision at a time, one fulfilled commitment at a time. Every time you follow through, you strengthen it. Every time you act with integrity, you strengthen it. Every time your actions match your words, you strengthen it. Eventually, people begin to associate your name with dependability. And that's when something interesting happens. Your value increases. Not because you're seeking recognition, not because you're demanding respect, but because people know they can count on you. And in a world full of empty promises, that quality becomes rare. Number 6, create scarcity around your presence. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to overlook something when it becomes part of your everyday routine? Then suddenly it's gone, and only then do you realize how much it mattered. Human nature works that way. We often recognize importance most clearly when there is some distance, when there is space, when there is absence. This is one of the reasons why constantly forcing your presence into every situation can work against you. Many people believe that being noticed requires being everywhere. Every conversation, every gathering, every opportunity, every moment. They think visibility automatically creates value. But that's not always true. Sometimes constant exposure creates familiarity, and familiarity can reduce appreciation. Machiavelli understood this aspect of human behavior. He recognized that people often place greater value on things they cannot easily obtain, not because those things are necessarily better, but because they feel more significant. As he famously observed, men value most what they must work to obtain. That idea extends far beyond material possessions. It applies to attention, it applies to opportunities, and it applies to people. This doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean disappearing to manipulate others. That's not the lesson. The lesson is having a life that does not revolve around being noticed. A person with purpose is naturally selective about where they spend their time. They have responsibilities, they have ambitions, they have projects that demand focus. Because of that, they don't feel the need to be present everywhere, and that creates a different kind of impression. Think about someone who is constantly chasing attention, always seeking validation, always trying to remain at the center of every situation. Over time, people become accustomed to it. It stops feeling special. Now think about someone who appears when it matters. Someone who is focused on building something meaningful. Someone who has a direction. When that person enters a room, people notice. Not because they're demanding attention, but because their presence feels intentional. And intentional presence carries weight. One of the strongest signals of personal value is having goals that matter to you. Goals that continue moving forward whether people are watching or not. When your life becomes centered around purpose, something changes. You stop measuring your worth by how often people think about you. You stop seeking constant recognition. You stop needing to be included in everything because your focus is no longer external, it's internal. And that's where real confidence begins to grow. Ironically, this often creates the exact result many people are chasing. Others become more interested, more curious, more appreciative, not because you're trying to create distance, but because your life has direction. People naturally respect individuals who are committed to something larger than immediate approval. There is something attractive about a person who has meaningful priorities, a person who is building, learning, improving, and growing. That kind of focus creates value because it shows that your time is being invested somewhere important. Remember, scarcity is not about isolation. It is not about withdrawing from the world. It is about being intentional. It is about choosing quality over quantity. It is about making sure your presence means something rather than making sure it is everywhere. The people who are valued most are rarely the people trying hardest to stay visible. They are usually the people deeply committed to their own path. And because they have a path, their presence feels different, more purposeful, more meaningful, more memorable. Number 7. Become difficult to replace. If someone had to choose between two people, they will always pick the one they cannot easily replace. Let that sit for a moment, because that single idea explains a lot about human behavior. It explains why some people are forgotten quickly, while others stay in mind long after they leave a room. It is not always about being the loudest. It is not about trying to impress everyone, and it is not about forcing attention. It is about becoming someone who adds something that cannot be easily found somewhere else. Think about people who leave a real impact. They usually have something specific about them, a skill, a way of thinking, a level of understanding, a kind of effort that stands out without needing recognition. They are not copies of everyone around them. They bring something different into every situation they enter, and that difference is what makes them valuable. Now look at the opposite. People who blend in too easily often get replaced just as easily. Not because they are bad, but because nothing about them feels distinct. There is nothing that makes them stand apart in a meaningful way. In a world where many people can do similar things, sameness reduces importance. That is the hard truth. So the question becomes simple. What makes you different? Not in a shallow way, not in a forced way, but in a real, earned way. It could be the way you solve problems. It could be how you stay calm when others panic. It could be how you think deeper than most people around you. It could be your ability to learn faster than average. Whatever it is, it has to be developed, not claimed, not announced, built. Most people underestimate this part. They focus on being liked. They focus on fitting in. They focus on doing what everyone else is doing. But that path rarely creates value, because similarity does not stand out, and what does not stand out is easy to overlook. Machiavelli often emphasized the importance of strength and identity in how others perceive you. Not force, not noise, but clear presence through action and capability. When people recognize that you bring something real to the table, their perception changes. They start paying closer attention. They start relying on you in different ways. Not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. Now, here is something important. Becoming hard to replace is not about arrogance. It is not about thinking you are better than others. It is about developing depth in your character and ability. Depth that cannot be quickly copied. Depth that grows over time. Depth that comes from effort, repetition, and learning from experience. This is where real value is created. Because in any environment, whether it is work, friendships, or personal life, people naturally remember those who contribute something meaningful. Not temporary excitement, not surface-level appeal, but real contribution. And the more you invest in improving yourself, the more that contribution grows. Skills sharpen. Thinking becomes clearer. Confidence becomes stable. And over time, your presence starts to carry weight without you needing to force it. That is what separates replaceable individuals from memorable ones. One is easily forgotten. The other stays relevant even when they are not present. So instead of asking how to be noticed, the better question is this: what can you build in yourself that others cannot quickly duplicate? What can you improve that adds real value wherever you go? Because once you start focusing on that, everything changes. People stop seeing you as optional. They start seeing you as necessary in certain spaces. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through consistent growth. And that is the final truth of this entire journey. The people who are valued the most are not the ones who chase attention. They are the ones who develop something real inside themselves that makes them impossible to ignore for long. Because the more unique your contribution becomes, the harder you are to replace. Now take a moment and look at everything we just covered. It was never about acting different just to get reactions. It was about understanding something deeper about people and how respect is formed over time. Most individuals go through life trying to be accepted, trying to be included, trying to be approved by others, and in that process, they slowly lose sight of their own direction. But value does not come from chasing approval. It comes from how you live when no one is asking you to prove anything. It comes from how you protect your time when no one is watching. It comes from the decisions you make when there is no audience. If you noticed, every lesson in this video pointed back to one core idea. Self-respect shapes external respect. When you give your time without limits, it gets treated without limits. When you explain yourself too much, your words lose weight. When you have no clear direction, people stop taking your presence seriously. But when you start living with intention, everything begins to shift. People notice the change even before you say anything. They feel it in how you carry yourself. They sense it in how you respond. They see it in how you move through situations. And slowly, their behavior toward you begins to adjust. Not because you asked them to change, but because you changed first. That is the real turning point most people miss. You do not become valued by forcing others to see you differently. You become valued by becoming someone who naturally stands out through actions, focus, and discipline. And once that happens, something interesting follows. You stop chasing approval. You stop over-explaining your choices. You stop trying to prove your worth in every situation because you no longer need external validation to confirm what you already know inside. So take these lessons seriously. Apply them in your daily life, not as a performance, but as a shift in mindset. Protect your time. Think before you speak. Stand by your standards. Focus on your growth and build something within yourself that cannot be easily ignored or replaced. If this video helped you understand human nature a little better, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more content on psychology, influence, and self-mastery. Because the truth is simple. People don't value noise, they value meaning. And the moment you stop chasing value from others is often the moment others begin to recognize the value in you.